following is an America Matters Media Encore presentation. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station, its advertisers, or management, but we think they should. And that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Vote for me and I'll set you free.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now over me.
Hey there, it's Lars Larson. Right now, you're listening to Nevada Matters.
Thank you for that, Lars Larson. Now, listeners, let me tell you something. Nevada Matters is the show where I go all around the world and select people who are making an impact on everyone's lives. And today, it's no different. Right now, you're listening to us on 1180 AM, KCKQ, one of the largest signals I've ever been in, on northern Nevada and all of Southern California, Lake Tahoe, Truckee, you name it, we're there. We're also heard around the world. Tell your family members, friends, and associates that they can tune in to americamatters.us and click on the Listen Live button. It's just that simple for them to do, as I have the honor, and I do mean that, I have the honor of interviewing all about Gold Star Ride. I've invited as today's host with me, Dennis Romeo, the host of Military Matters right here on America Matters Media. You're listening to us on 1180 AM KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast radio station, and you're listening to us all around the world. Tell your family members, friends, and associates to go to americamatters.us and just click the Listen Live button. It's just that simple to do. Now, without further ado, let's go to my very special guest today, Tony Price. Tony, you're up on the air, buddy.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to this, but let's personalize the show to begin with. Where was Tony Price born? Where were you educated? And what got you involved with Gold Star Ride? Because it's everywhere.
Well, I was born in southern Minnesota, a little farm community. I came from a very big family. I have 12 brothers and sisters, and we comprised about 20% of the population of the town I grew up in.
Wow.
I got involved with it. I served in the United States Navy. I went in under Ronald Reagan, came out under Bush, and I'm currently about 60% disabled, according to the Veterans Administration. And about 5 years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet this country singer named Rocky Lynn, and he let me go for a motorcycle ride with him. And I'll bring him up again in a minute or two, but we went on this motorcycle ride to visit families that had a fallen hero in their house, somebody who put on the uniform and didn't make it home. And it was one of the most emotionally charged experiences I ever experienced in my lifetime. And, you know, I've only been going around the sun for about 5.5 decades. But, yeah, it was one of the most exhilarating and memorable experiences I've ever had. And I started riding with them on an annual basis. And I came to them last year, and they said, you know, we ought to do this nationally. Well, he's a professional country singer, so for him to take time off to ride a motorcycle all over the country is not something that he was able to do. And I said, well, you know, I'm a disabled vet anyway. It's not like I have a real job. I'll do it. So I started working with my wife and a few other people, and we came up with this idea that we will go visit 100 Gold Star families in 49 states and get it done in a 7-week period in July and August of this year.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Unbelievable.
It's a lot of riding, my friend.
It is, yeah. I don't have that list of bullet points in front of me, but we're looking at something like 1,600 meals. We got to change the tires on the motorcycle 3 times. We got to do 6 or 7 oil changes. It looks like it's going to consume an awful lot of product.
Wow. Yeah, but if like me, you like riding, I mean, and you get to do it for a purpose, that's all good.
Well, it always started with my love for riding motorcycles. I would be remiss if I said anything other than that. And living in Minnesota, which is where I'm from, where I'm calling you from, just outside of Minneapolis right now, and we're looking at, I think it's the same temperature here as there. It's about 29 degrees here. And we got snow on the ground, so we have a very short riding season here in Minnesota.
Right. What do you have, probably 4 to 5 months off every year that you can't do your riding?
This has been, I often say thank you very much for global warming to my neighbors. Because we've had a strange February here. I rode my motorcycle for 200 miles in February.
Wow.
First time I ever got to get the motorcycle out in the spring without changing the sticker on the license plate from the year before. In Minnesota, the motorcycles all expire at the end of February.
Right.
So you have to start March with a new sticker.
Let me ask you this, too, and then I know Dennis has some questions for you, because, by the way, you both were, I'm from a Navy town, Mayport, Florida, where the aircraft carrier base is. Okay, so you and Dennis are both anchor clankers to me. Okay, and I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I'm about a millennium older, though.
Yeah, about a millennium older. He was in the United States Navy in Vietnam. Now, what got you involved with Gold Star Ride in the first place?
Well, as I had mentioned, riding with this country singer named Rocky Glenn, and I suggested that he take his ride national, because we would go here in Minnesota. We would go visit 3 or 4, sometimes maybe as many as 5 families in a weekend, and we did that once a year for I think 5 years. We did that together.
Wow!
And there was a few other people in the group. I mean, I think the group was about 150 motorcycles, so there's a few other people in that group. But yeah, I suggested to him that it was bigger than that. Something happened. I should probably tell that story.
Please.
I was on an airplane, and I was bored because there's not very much to do on an airplane except, sit there and look at the newer airplanes all have little TVs that you can watch.
Right.
So there wasn't much to choose from on this flight, but I found myself watching a documentary about motorcycles. I'm watching a documentary about 4 guys who ride motorcycles from San Francisco to Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
And it takes them 21 days.
21 days? Okay.
Well, yeah, I got off the airplane and I said, it took these 4 guys 21 days to go that far? I had just a month before, last year in June. Again, I'm in Minnesota.
Right.
I'm in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. In June, my wife and I said, okay, it's time to get a new motorcycle. Where are we going to get one? And we buy used motorcycles because, we're working people, so we buy used motorcycles.
Yep.
And I found out that Minnesota ranked 9th in the nation for motorcycles per capita. And I thought, well, no wonder used motorcycles are so expensive. Here we're 9th in the nation.
Right.
So I said, well, if we're 9th, that means there's a list. Let's find out who's 50th. And let's see how much motorcycles cost there. Well, I ended up finding one in New Orleans, Louisiana. And New Orleans, I think, was ranked 46th or 47th on that list.
Wow.
So we negotiated a pretty good deal, and I flew down to New Orleans, and I test drove this motorcycle, and I got on it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And I started riding north, and I went about 350 miles, stopped about 75 miles out of Memphis, Tennessee, and I spent 10 hours in a hotel, and as soon as the sun started cracking on the horizon, I swung my leg over it again and started riding again. I parked it here in Minneapolis at 11:30 that night.
Wow.
I went 1,265 miles, and I did it in 30 hours with a 10-hour stop in a hotel.
I like it.
That's iron butt time there, guy.
Yeah.
I've investigated that, and I talked to people who hand out those iron butt patches, and I missed it. I missed it because I stopped in the hotel.
Yeah, you got to have 24 hours straight.
Yeah, tell our listeners, Dennis, what an iron butt is.
1,000 miles, 24 hours.
Wow.
Pretty simple.
Wow, unbelievable. Now, Tony, when we come back, I'm going to ask you to do us a big favor and tell us all about Gold Star Ride, okay? All right, we are back now with Tony Price. Give me a rundown on Gold Star Ride, if you would.
Well, thank you very much for having me again, Eddie. I really am having a good time here. The Gold Star Ride Foundation is the nonprofit organization. We're registered with the IRS, the 501c3, and all of those things that people like to know about.
Right.
We got together as an organization. There's a few of us on the board of directors. I'm just the secretary, but a few of us on the board of directors, and what we found out, as much by accident as by anything else, is that when somebody signs up for the military and for whatever reason they don't come home, the government doesn't do a whole lot for that family anymore.
Right.
Particularly, well, they just don't do a whole lot for them anymore, and it seems wrong to me, and it seems wrong to the people who are in our organization. All of us are volunteers, by the way. Nobody gets paid for anything that we do here.
Right.
It just seemed wrong. So one of the things that we wanted to do was find a special way to just reach out to the survivors of the fallen heroes and just say, thanks, because without you being willing to do that, we wouldn't have the wonderful country that we have.
Amen, brother.
And they didn't really sign up for it either. In a lot of cases, we find out that moms in particular will tell us that they spent 3 years trying to talk that kid out of going into the service.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's in the cemetery. So we wanted to give them more than just a slap on the back or a hug and a couple of tears saying thank you for your service. We wanted to do something else, because when somebody loses their life, the family that they leave behind loses a lot more than just the person that they used to confide with or tell jokes with or stay up late at night and drink wine with or whatever it was.
Right.
They lose a lot more than that. And I've got some specific stories here that'll illustrate it. But they also lose everything that person would have contributed to the family in the future. For example, I mentioned before the break a friend of mine named Rocky Lynn. He's a country singer. And Rocky was telling me once about this. A young man, we went out to visit a family in northern Minnesota, and he was telling me about this young man who came back from Iraq, and he was diagnosed with PTSD. Well, he's from Minnesota, but they had him in a Los Angeles VA hospital, and they were treating him there for PTSD. And after 60 days in the hospital, they said, well, there's not a whole lot more we can do with you, so they let him go, and they released him, and the short story is 10 days later, he was dead.
Mm.
Well, under circumstances like that, the government says, well, that was suicide. That didn't have anything to do with the military, so there's clearly nothing the government is going to do for his family. But we met his wife, and she's 23 years old, and we met his two kids, and both of them are preschoolers.
Wow.
And now we got a welfare family because the government isn't going to do it. So we wanted to do. Rocky said, I'm sorry, I'm talking over you, aren't I?
No, you're fine. I just wanted to point out something that we hear this statistic about veteran suicides, 23 a day, one every 70 minutes or whatever it is. That's totally false. That's only the reporting of 7 states, and it's only the reports of the coroner saying it is a suicide. We don't have the true numbers of people that died in single-car rollovers, suicide by cop, things of that nature. In your homeless situation, what you're talking about, 1 in 6 homeless people are a veteran.
Wow.
And out of them, 1 in 5 is a female. Those are veterans that are homeless. You talk about not getting what you signed up for. They're not getting anything, period. It irks me, and it irks me, like you said, they turned them loose. They said there's nothing we can do for you. We fight against this all the time. I know we do, and I'm going to just say this, we do a radio show for veterans 11 o'clock Tuesday mornings. But when we're done with the radio show, we're not done. We're always talking. We're getting phone calls. We've had 2 people that were in emergency situations that said we saved their lives because the VA wouldn't recognize what was going on. That's the problem. They turn them loose and they wash their hands of them. And not only that, a lot of veterans feel like you want us to die because when we die, we're not a problem to you anymore.
Wow. Tony, I'm so proud of what you're doing.
That.
Yeah, I'm so proud of what you do, and that was Dennis's way of inviting you to be a guest, a call-in guest on his Military Matters this coming Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay.
Well, this is Tuesday, Eddie. But maybe next.
We're talking about today.
No, not today.
Every Tuesday, but maybe next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
And my friend, I do a morning show too. You're always welcome to promote the Gold Star ride on the morning show. I'm available. It's kind of a lighthearted entertainment thing, but we do some serious things there. And if we can help, I got 1.5 million listeners. If we can help, in the morning and get the word out, I'm more than happy to do that too.
Well, that's fantastic, and I appreciate the invitation. I'm going to take you up on that.
That sounds great.
But getting back to this guy who left his wife and kids behind, I wanted to say this because, Rocky's a really great guy, and he's, like I said before, he's a country singer, so you got to kind of take him with a grain of salt. But he was the one who I first heard say that was not a suicide. That was a Taliban sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away. Yeah. And because of that, they qualify, in our world, they qualify as Gold Star family. And I don't know if anybody said this before or not either, but the term Gold Star family has been resurrected by the American Legion here in about the last 35 years. But it started 100 years ago this year. It started in 1917.
Wow.
When the draftees were going to fight in World War I, along with their notice that they had to go fight, the family would get a blue flag, a blue star flag, and they got to hang it in the window. But if they got the telegram saying that their husband or their son wasn't coming home, then they got a gold star flag to hang in the window. And 100 years ago, everybody knew what a Gold Star family was.
Right.
Well, the snipers.
So we're just taking advantage of this not advantage of, but it would be nice if our organization was big enough to help the VA do things with all of the people that you had mentioned before, the homeless vets, the people who need more help with PTSD. But we can't. Our organization is just a little bit too small. Our resources aren't big enough to go that far. Maybe we can grow with the help of your radio station and interviews like this. Maybe we can grow in 10 years from now. We'll be able to expand our mission to be able to take care of some of those folks that need a little bit more taking care of. But right now what we're concentrating on is, people like, I got a phone call last week from a fellow named Dave who lives in a little town about 90 miles toward you from Portland. And he said, well, I heard about your ride. I want to know if you guys can come and see me. My son just spent his whole life wanting to be a Marine, and he got to be a Marine, and now he's in the cemetery. Well, Dave's his hometown is just out in the middle of nowhere. And those are the families that we really want to pay attention to. On this year's ride, the 2017 ride, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to those little towns, because it's easy to go to San Francisco and find 100 Gold Star families. We wouldn't even have to leave town. We could do it here in Minneapolis. We could do it in New York City. We could go there and find 100 of them, no problem. But to take the ride on the road and go out to the name of the town I grew up in is Rose Creek. Any of you ever heard of Rose Creek?
Nope.
So that's what we want to do. We want to find these little towns where people really feel like they're forgotten, and we want to pay a special tribute to them. As an example, we're going to Key Largo, Florida. And for those of your listeners who, like me, went to public school, have to look up where Key Largo is on the map. That's at the southern tip of Florida. We're going to ride for 12 hours to get there.
Wow.
from the Georgia-Florida state line.
Oh, yeah.
We got to ride 12 hours to get there, and we're going there for one family.
Wow.
And we're going to stop outside of Miami for another family, and then we're off to someplace else.
I just love that, okay? Because what you're doing, there'll be several of you, and you'll be going there for one family to make them finally feel appreciated, because our government, quite frankly, let down their side of the contract. When someone enlists, they sign a contract. The government signs the other part of the contract, and
Right.
I don't think they've done a good job at all as far as living up to what they promised the vets. Dennis?
Yeah, that struck home. The sniper's bullet from 7,000 miles away. My generation, we had a saying, he died in Vietnam. He just didn't know it.
Yep.
Yeah. I've heard that one, too.
That was before there was PTSD.
Right.
It wasn't recognized, so... Yeah, I understand.
Quickly, if I could throw out a little bit more of the
Please.
logistics of our ride.
Please. You got
We're leaving St. Paul.
I'm going to let you have the rest of the show. You got 2 minutes. Take it away.
Well, see if I can figure out something to say for 2 full minutes. My wife would tell you that 2 minutes isn't near enough. Anyway, we're leaving St. Paul, and we're going to cross the river going to Wisconsin on July 3rd at 7 a.m. We should be crossing that river at 7:02. So we're going to start in Wisconsin, and we're going to do a giant clockwise direction around the country, zigzagging all over the place, and we're going to even make it up to Alaska. So by the time we get home back to Minneapolis 7 weeks later, we will have gone to all 49 states.
Wow.
There's only one that's guaranteed to go the whole distance. Only one. That's the one that I'm personally going to ride.
Oh, good.
And my wife will ride on the back a lot, but she has told me that she doubts that she's going to ride on the back for the whole ride, too. We also have some volunteers from Los Angeles who have told us that they're going to come along with their camera crew. It's a production company, and they're going to make a documentary movie out of it.
I
So
love
there's going
it.
to be 5 people in the camera crew that are going to follow us, and then we're actually looking for a qualified motorcycle mechanic that will drive the second support vehicle and pull the tools and the trailer and everything that we need to make sure that if we get stuck on the road, we're not stuck on the road.
Amen. Amen. Now, what I'm going to do, Tony, with your permission, I'm going to use the last 30 seconds because I want people to hear right now how they can get a hold of you and learn more about Gold Star Ride.
Okay. We can be reached our office phone number, which is area code 651-417-3317.